Hello, Linked HR. Happy week. I'm Dr. Cris Wildermuth. I'm your community chair, and I'm here with a quick weekly learning, flash learning discussion starter, and also to invite you once again to join our community center at linkedhr.com. Today, I have an exciting announcement, at least I hope you like it. Mel Wildermuth, our Chief Content Officer, and I are planning to start a book club. So starting next week, we're going to be bringing books for the community to read, and then we're going to be having cool discussions and maybe some brief presentations and some learning around that book. And that's one way that we thought that everyone could continue learning and participating. So I would love to have your ideas in the comment area on what books should we be picking. Today, though, I'm going to start not with a book, but with an article that is freely available on the web and that I thought you would enjoy. And it's an old article. It was written in 1990, but it's still very relevant, and it's easily available on the web, and it's by Dr. William Kahn. It's called The Psychological Conditions of Engagement. Why am I bringing engagement up? Because recently, one of my graduate students asked me she asked me what should be done after people measure engagement. And oftentimes, you probably have seen this before, organizations measure engagement, but then afterwards they don't know what to do with the results. And then the following year, they measure it again. So, actually, what I wanted to share with my graduate students and with you today is that what's important here, it's not only what you do after you measure engagement, but what you do before. And I'm going to share 4 quick thoughts on this. This whole thing should last less than 5 minutes. The first point I want to make is that you need to understand what you're measuring. Hence, my recommendation that you read Dr. Kahn's article, which is kind of the beginning of it all, the landmark article that everybody refers to. Oftentimes, what we see is that assessments that people purchase on engagement do not really measure engagement, which is a strong connection between the person and the work, but instead they measure predictors of engagement. Something like meaningfulness, for example, which means people's sense of being valuable and valued at work. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that measuring predictors of engagement is not important. On the contrary, it's highly important because those predictors can be actionable. But you need to be able to understand what engagement means, and you need to know exactly what you're measuring. Which takes me to point 2, which is inform the people who are in power in your organization about what you're measuring and what engagement means and why does it matter. Oftentimes what we see, unfortunately, is engagement measurement as a fishing expedition in which people try to find out whether there's a problem with engagement, and then if there is, maybe we'll convince the managers to do something. Maybe we'll convince the CEO to care. And that's the wrong way to go around it. You should do your homework, understand what engagement means, and make sure that you have the support of your people in your organization to do something about it. Which takes me to step 3. Have a plan, a clear plan for each of the components or predictors of engagement that you're actually measuring. So, for example, if one of the predictors of engagement you're measuring is meaningfulness, you should know what to do to capitalize on the groups that are doing great with meaningfulness and how to enhance meaningfulness in the parts of the organization in which employees don't feel valued and valuable. What exactly are you going to do to impact that particular predictor of engagement? Finally, the 4th step, which should actually be number 1 because it's so important, and I left it for last because I wanted to emphasize it. Research ethics. If you run a quick search on research that is conducted in universities, institutions of higher learning, or federal agencies, anywhere, you're going to find information on 3 key components of research ethics. The first one is respect for persons, which has to do with people's autonomy, with people being adequately informed, with people knowing what the risks are of what they're going to say, and so on. So that's respect for persons. The second one is called beneficence, and that has to do with not doing harm and actually doing good. So what's the benefit of the research for participants, for everybody who is involved? And the third is justice, which basically means that you should be involving everyone who could be benefited by the research. Even though those three components, which are respect and beneficence and justice, are we typically talk about them in universities more than we talk about them in organizations, they are still very valuable in organizations. Why? Because if you don't follow ethical processes, you're not only being guilty of doing something unethical, you're also unlikely to get valid results. Garbage in, garbage out. If people don't feel safe, chances are what they are responding is not really the truth. So those were the 4 things that I wanted to bring up today. Know what you're measuring, inform people in your organization and get their support, have specific plans, and follow good ethical practices. How about you share also what it is that you think should be done before and after an engagement study? And if you go to our resource center in the knowledge area, I'm going to be sharing more information, including other articles that you should read and some bibliography and some other goodies. So please come see us there. Take care, everyone, and have a wonderful week.